Humanity once believed the universe was infinite, an endless sea of stars stretching beyond imagination. We believed there would always be light, always warmth, always something above us that burned brighter than our brightest dreams. We were wrong. The end began subtly. A minor fluctuation in solar mass. A decline in fusion output so marginal that only the most obsessive astronomers noticed. For months, the warnings were ignored. For years, the data was debated. But eventually, reality forced its way through every denial and every optimistic prediction. Our sun was dying. Not in billions of years. Not in a distant cosmic future. But now. In our lifetimes. At first, humanity reacted as it always did, fragmented, loud, irrational. Nations blamed one another. Politicians accused scientists of fear-mongering. Scientists accused politicians of procrastinating. A few opportunists even tried to profit off the apocalypse. But the sun did not care for politics. Its light continued to dim, steady and merciless. The world grew colder. Crops failed in equatorial regions once considered too hot to farm. Glaciers swallowed cities in the north. Coastal nations fell into darkness as energy grids collapsed under sudden demand. Humanity stood at the precipice of extinction. But if history had taught the universe anything, it was this. Humanity does not surrender quietly. The first proposal came from a small team of astrophysicists working in an underground laboratory in what used to be Colorado. Their idea was dismissed as insanity. "We can build a new star!" The world laughed. Until they didn't. What began as whispers of madness became a rallying cry. Because insanity, throughout human history, had a habit of turning into innovation. The idea spread like wildfire. Energy consortiums offered resources. Nations offered abandoned land. The newly formed Earth Survival Alliance funneled every currency, money, material, manpower, into the project. A star. A man-made sun. A fusion furnace that could replace the failing giant in our sky. The plans were bold beyond measure. The location chosen was the rings of Saturn, far enough from Earth to avoid cataclysm, but rich in ice and metals needed to build the world's largest thermonuclear reactor. Thousands of stations were constructed like beads in a cosmic necklace. They formed a colossal spherical scaffold, a cradle for something that had never existed. A star forged by human hands. The name was simple. Solus. Latin for the alone, though some whispered it meant our only hope. Construction lasted 15 years. Entire generations grew up believing their future depended on a star they had never seen. Millions worked themselves to exhaustion. Tens of thousands died from accidents, radiation leaks, habitat failures, and the inevitable tragedies that accompany humankind's greatest ambitions. Yet the work continued. Because failure meant extinction. And humans, uniquely among the universe's species, were infamous for one trait. We refused to go extinct. The day of ignition arrived. Earth watched on every screen, old televisions, neural implants, holographic projectors built from scavenged parts. Even the poorest families gathered in candlelit rooms, praying to gods long abandoned. The ignition countdown echoed across every world, station, and colony. 10, 9, 8. Millions held their breath. 3, 2, 1. Solus ignited. Not with an explosion, but with a roar of light, white, gold, and blue, unfurling like the universe itself gasped. The shockwave rippled through Saturn's rings, shattering millions of ice shards into glittering halos. For the first time in history, humanity created light where none had existed. Earth bathed in its glow seconds later. Solar panels recharged. Oceans glimmered. The temperature rose. Plants revived. Children ran outside, laughing, pointing at the second sun rising beside the first. Humanity had survived the dark. But the universe had noticed. For millennia, beings older than galaxies drifted through cosmic voids. They had witnessed stars born from dust clouds. They had swallowed supernovae. They had shaped galaxies with the brush strokes of gravity. They were the first, eternals, celestials, the architects of light. Some cultures called them gods. Some called them myths. Some refused to believe they existed at all. But when Solus lit the black, the gods awakened. They approached without ships, without engines, without sound. They traveled in folds of space-time, riding quantum tides invisible to human perception. But every mind in the solar system felt them, like static before a thunderstorm. The message they sent was simple. "Children of Earth, may we come?" The words echoed not through radios or satellites, but through consciousness itself. No one spoke for minutes. Not leaders. Not scientists. Not the billions who listened in awe. The first to respond was the United World Speaker, an elderly woman from Ghana whose voice had narrated humanitarian broadcasts for 40 years. "Come in peace," she said, "and you are welcome." Space bent. Reality shimmered. And the gods arrived. They were not beings of flesh or bone. They were silhouettes of cosmic dust, shaped like titans but fluid as nebulae. Their bodies shimmered with starlight. Their eyes were supernova cores. When they spoke, their voices sounded like the deep hum of gravity itself. They circled Solus like pilgrims around a sacred flame. And then they bowed. No one expected that. No one could comprehend it. The greatest beings in existence bowed to the species that had once struggled to master fire. "Your star," the eldest god said, "is new." The gods gathered, their forms trembling. "Our realm grows cold. We fed on the light of ancient suns. But they are gone. Burned out. Forgotten. You have created what we cannot." Humanity held its breath. The gods spoke again, this time with desperation that echoed across solar wind. "May we stand in its warmth?" Humanity stared, speechless, stunned, humbled. The universe's oldest beings were asking permission. "You may," humans answered at last. "But know this. We built this star not to be worshipped, but to survive." The eldest god blinked, if such a motion could be called blinking. "Survival," he whispered, "is the highest divinity." The god settled near Solus. Not close enough to destabilize it, but near enough to absorb its warmth. For the first time in cosmic ages, the gods felt heat. Light filled the hollows of their fading bodies. Their forms brightened, strengthened. And they wept. Not tears of water, those were for mortals. They shed streams of light, cascading across Saturn's orbit like auroras of gratitude. The universe watched as cosmic deities warmed themselves around a human-made fire. But something deeper happened. The gods, eternal, all-knowing, had encountered something unexpected. Not knowledge, not power, but humility born of strength. "You defeated death," said the youngest god. "Not through strength, but through refusal. You made the universe bow to your will." Humanity said nothing. We had no words large enough to fill the silence. The eldest god drifted closer. "We have seen 1,000 species, 1,000 empires. All died. All surrendered when the sky grew dark. You did not." A ripple passed through the gods, like wind through stars. "Teach us." The speaker of Earth could only whisper. "Teach you what?" "How to live without eternity," the god answered. "How to rise when all falls. How to create light in the dark." Humanity realized something profound. The gods were fading. Their immortality had trapped them. While mortals evolved, changed, adapted, struggled, the gods had stagnated. "You mistake us," the speaker said quietly. "We are not teachers. We are just trying to survive." The eldest god smiled, a curve of starlight bending gently. "That," he said, "is the lesson. For the next centuries, the gods lived near Solus. They watched humanity expand, build habitats, form new alliances, terraform moons, and birth new sciences. They watched us stumble, fail, fight, rebuild, overcome. And the more they observed, the more they changed. They learned fear, healthy fear. They learned hope, dangerous hope. They learned ambition, the fire of mortality. The universe had created the gods immortal, thinking that eternity was perfection. But eternity without growth was stagnation. Immortality without evolution was decay. Humanity, fragile and temporary, had something the gods never could: the instinct to grow in spite of death. And so the gods learned from us. When Earth built its second artificial sun to fuel a distant colony, the gods were there, students watching a master class in defiance. When humanity discovered gravitational weaving, the gods celebrated as if we had invented wings. When the first human stepped onto a planet without a natural star, carrying bottled light made from Solus, the gods mourned and rejoiced all at once. "You are not children," the eldest god said on the 1000th anniversary of Solus's ignition. "You are the universe's torchbearers." Humanity laughed at that. "We are still learning." "That," the god replied, "is why you shine." In time, the gods regained enough strength to leave the solar system. Not because they were abandoning us, but because Solus had taught them something crucial: light could be shared, not hoarded. Before they left, the eldest god placed a fragment of himself inside Solus. "A gift," he said. "Our last spark. So long as this star burns, you will never be alone." When the gods departed, Solus pulsed, brighter, stronger, eternal. Earth watched as the cosmic titans crossed the void, carrying with them humanity's fire. And humanity understood something extraordinary. We had not merely saved ourselves. We had saved the universe from darkness. Because where the gods traveled, they carried light. Human light. A human sun. Solus became a beacon, proof that mortals could create where immortals could not. A testament to the stubborn, reckless, beautiful defiance that defined our species. And as the gods vanished into distant galaxies, humanity whispered a phrase that echoed from Earth to the farthest reaches of space. "You will always have a place at our fire." For in the end, this was humanity's greatest act. Not building a star, not defying extinction, not humbling the gods, but offering warmth. In a universe growing cold,